this is a topic close to all of our hearts, even though only one of us is an entrepreneur. So who is Aalok? You've already heard him. Aalok, what are you doing business in?
What am I doing business in?
What are you entrepreneuring about?
I have a media production company here in New York City, and my company produces podcasts, documentaries, and short films, and video content for clients.
Yay, that's cool. So according to both of you and maybe myself, what makes an entrepreneur?
For me, I think entrepreneurs are explorers. They want to pursue an idea and see what opportunities or what doors it opens for them. For me, my background is in finance and banking, and then I transitioned to media. My whole idea of getting into storytelling was to understand that what is it that makes any form of storytelling appealing to people so much that they get very emotionally invested in it. I was looking to understand that what is it about certain scenes and certain actors that makes people cry? What is it about certain news channels and their way of reporting that makes people angry? And it's just this whole thing. I couldn't get that thought out of my mind. And I thought that, okay, let's just do it for myself and see that what the whole situation is about. And I think that's one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
Cool. Jay, what makes an entrepreneur and why do you want to be an entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur, I think at heart, they are very they're basically rebels, in a way. They don't want to settle on things that people usually are comfortable with. They are very good at discerning and just, picking problems that they want to solve or they want to work on. They are just, a bunch of people who want to make the world a better place faster and, I don't know.
Become rich in the process.
Also, become rich in the process, ideally. Well, at least the case for me.
Why do I want to be an entrepreneur? I think I was inspired initially by other people. And then I just think there are some niches and there are some problems which I want to address, which would be possible to address in other ways as well. Like I could found a charity. I could found an organization. I could work for an organization and try to bring about change through being in a policy position. Since I studied development economics, I think that would also be an option. However, I don't really believe in top-down leadership, so I want to be on the ground. I want to be with people. I want to change things myself instead of prescribing policies, which is basically it's a guideline, which is also something that's very it's a good idea to do that. I think states should step up as long as they exist. They should do the best they can ever do for their populations, for their societies. But entrepreneurship, I don't know, it has always appealed to me because there's a sense of freedom about it.
Yeah, so you're saying you basically want more a hands-off way. No, as in a hands-off approach to solving problems, with very limited guidance.
That's not what I'm thinking. Well, direct leadership, if I would work in a big organization, it would be really, I think there would be a lot of red tape. If you're an entrepreneur, you become an entrepreneur, you also are still guided by a lot of state laws. You are bound to the law. You have to do certain things, file your taxes, whatever. There's a lot of things you have to do, but it's not, you can create your own vision and your own dream, your own world instead of just following what other people want. Yeah. That's something why it really appeals to me. What's your vision?
Yeah, so my vision is to tell stories that make their way into people's heart, and it gives them either a perspective on something that they didn't have before, not necessarily in an educational way, okay? But also at the same time, it allows them to take a step back and think not only about themselves, but also the world and the culture and the society that we are part of.
I feel like my ultimate mission, I would say is to find a way to connect people with the nature and connect people with themselves. One way of doing that, the first one being like trying to connect people with the nature, is actually what my current entrepreneurial project is trying to achieve. And through, I kind of have this vague vision, which I also need to kind of like narrow down on, is to trying to connect people through food and beverage, and through traveling. So that would be my next step, the next steps after I kind of established, after I have established the business that I'm already running, when it is kind of like it's generating revenue, it's making progress.
I think you should start a beverage van that picks up hitchhikers and then serves them drinks. Ultimate hipster startup.
Nice one.
That is why being a hipster and making money is so difficult.
Not always. I mean, Steve Jobs was a hipster back in the day. He figured out a way to make money.
Do you think anyone can become an entrepreneur?
If they ever want to be, I believe so.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think the skills of being an entrepreneur can be taught, okay? But I believe that the instincts of an entrepreneur cannot be taught.
It's like the question of, can anyone be a mathematician? And my answer to that would be yes. If you're truly passionate about some like mathematical concepts, you can spend time on it. You can spend your life on it, dedicated to like, proving like an equation, right? In number theory, in algebraic number theory. Except that if you were not born with like the skills or like the mathematical thinking, the analytical thinking, then you might spend maybe 10 times more than someone who's innately good at like maths, right?
You can teach people about like how to raise funds, how to build the team, how to build minimum viable product, how to do marketing. And entrepreneurs don't need to be expert in all of those things. They just need to have like the vision, and they need to hire people who can execute on that vision. Okay, here's my understanding that a lot of people can learn the craft of entrepreneurship. The art of entrepreneurship is in understanding how all of that comes together and how to handle that once you are in that position. So a lot of people would say that, okay, I can be an entrepreneur. I know where to find money. I know where to find people. I know how to build product, and I know how to sell it. Okay. Once you do that, okay, you do everything. And if you're not able to sell product, okay, then that doesn't make sense. You can spend like $1 million on each of those things and you still won't be able to sell. So I think it's hard to explain in words, but what I'm trying to say is that instincts about entrepreneurship come after you have spent some time doing that, and not all of it can be taught. So certain people are able to see certain connections within certain things, and that comes only when they have been able to spend time and consistently apply the principles that should be applied in entrepreneurship space. And so that's what my opinion is, that everybody can read up a book on entrepreneurship, but not everyone will be a successful one.
I think being an entrepreneur is like kind of like a mindset.
Yeah, and you have to make this like unyielding effort. You have this vision, and this effort is like, you have to be determined. You need to have the mental stamina.
What are the most important values or skills an entrepreneur needs to succeed in business?
The combination of patience and hard work, because if you have patience but you don't work hard, you will be waiting forever. And if you have hard work but you don't have patience, then you will only be like, a limited success. Like, you won't be a person that is successful consistently. So what I mean is that if you work hard every day, but you have the patience to think in long term, all of those little victories will add up and build momentum for you. And then eventually it will get to a point where everything that you do will turn out to be a success. I think a good example is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He started as a wrestler. No, he started as a football player, if I'm not wrong. Then he went into wrestling. Then he did movies. And then when he became successful in movies, now he has a headphone brand, a sneaker brand. He has his own tequila brand. So all of those things happened like in last 5 years, where he became this actor who has been consistently churning out number one box office hits, and then building on that success to build other avenues to make money. So I think, yes, patience and hard work, the combination of that is very powerful.
And also maybe the strategy.
Strategy, of course, plays a role where you need to know how to approach things.
Just, in general, the skill set that you apply to establishing a business.
Yeah. I mean, certainly strategy in the sense that, okay, you need to have a framework by which you operate.
Maybe that's determination.
Roadmap, yeah. So you need to have an idea of how you will build on things, okay? But more important than that, I think, and this is why a lot of people fail in entrepreneurship, is that this whole idea of like when to call it quits is unfathomable to a lot of people. What I mean is that, okay, if you're building something, if you're developing something, and you have done everything possibly that you can, and it still gets you nowhere, then you should probably move on from there. What people do is that they keep at it, and that's a bad strategy, because it has already been proven by market that this idea or this product does not have merit, and yet you are spending time on it.
So innovation, being innovative and changing a product.
Yeah, you have to be adaptable. Like, you have to know when to switch gears, and like some of the biggest companies have been the result of that shift, that pivot. Wrigley's, as a company that sells chewing gums right now, was initially selling baking soda. Nokia was a wood pulp mill, and then it went into like so many other things, and then it went into phones. So it's that you need to know, like, when to switch gears and when to do away with things.
So you should be constantly on the lookout for product market fit.
What about you, Rika?
What I think the most important skills are values of an entrepreneur. Well, I think there are potentially a lot of them. I think the most important skill is adaptability, and the most important it also depends on the person. Like, people have a certain they have a certain character and a certain set of values before they start becoming entrepreneurs. There's always something you can improve. So maybe it's values which are very important to me is like honesty, punctuality.
I'd like to add that a very fundamental thing is your passion, because passion kind of determines your vision. At least, passion is what gets you started. If you don't have passion, then you kind of every morning you wake up, you in bed, and you're like, if you don't feel like you're on a mission, then you just kind of you slack off,
True, yeah. And I think that's why I surround myself with things that keep me going. So I want to become the kind of filmmaker that Christopher Nolan is. So every time I, either keep listening to, his movie soundtracks, or I analyze the scenes, I read the screenplay, I just kind of keep myself absorbed with things where I want to get, to be able to build that mindset and those skills which will eventually get me there. So I think I agree that passion is the fuel that keeps you going.
Do you think you need to go to business school in order to become an entrepreneur?
It depends at what stage of life you are, and what entrepreneurship means to you, if you're going to school just for that. Okay, so yes, you will make connections. Okay, you will have the resources, you will have those first few meetings with big investors. That's all a good thing of going to a business school, that you can tap into their already existing network to cut short some of the struggles that a lot of entrepreneurs have. But that being said, see, when you are trying to get a job after a business school, it's easier, because then you have a certain kind of income guaranteed every month, and a portion of it you can use to pay back your student loan. And this is again going back to the idea that, are you taking student loan to go to business school or not? And so I think that, okay, if you are working a job after business school, you have that steady stream of income from which you can give a little back towards your student loan. But if you are not, if you're not planning to get a job, and if you want to start a business, I think there's more things that you will learn being out on the field, rather than wasting 2 years trying to understand fundamental business concepts and then learning how to apply them in real world scenario.
Also, something I'm thinking is that when you are in theory, when you are surrounded by theory more than praxis, you lose touch of what's like your instincts a little bit.
Yeah. So I think education is important, of course, and you need to know business concepts, okay, which you can learn for free online. Like, you go to YouTube, type like, all the business concepts, and you'll have full length explanations with examples from some of the brightest minds in the world, actually. So you anyway have that access. You can put that money towards like building a prototype, like the money that you would otherwise put towards the school. You can use that towards either building a prototype or going to entrepreneur conferences, or hiring a small team and seeing where it goes. But again, I went to business school and then I realized this in retrospect, and fortunately I didn't have a business loan, so I don't have that pressure on me to create something or take up a job just to like pay back student loan. So I feel it's on a case by case basis. I don't think you absolutely need to go to business school to have a successful startup. But that being said, if you feel that you would be more comfortable, it would give you more time to consider, and you think you are the person that once given a proper platform can take off really quickly, then by all means you should go ahead.
And I also feel like it's if you feel like you lack the kind of skills a business school would be able to offer, then I think it will be a good option to consider. Well, as an example, I know this friend who works at Accenture as a data science consultant. He is he is crazy about like just like prototyping. He has a background in software engineering, and since college he's worked for multiple startups and businesses, small businesses, and he has been like rapidly prototyping, building like data softwares, and most recently he told me he wanted to get an online master's degree in machine learning, and I'm like, you know all the stuff, like why are you still doing this? And he told me that it's a way to kind of learn statistics, learn the theories behind like actually hands-on programming and using the machine learning algorithms to kind of like really understand how the maths works. So for him, I think he probably lacks like the true theoretical knowledge for him to to go to kind of like go to the next level.
Right.
So if you feel like you're entrepreneur but doesn't really have the business administrative skills or like the soft skills which most business school will be able to offer, then I think it would be a good thing to consider.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple thing that, okay, you cannot have, good body without exercising, okay? But you also need to know what you need to exercise, okay? So it's like you can read about push-ups, but never develop like, good muscle. But then you can also do like crazy push-ups and never know when to stop and what's the limit of your body. So I think education is important to understand that, okay, there's something called push-ups and you can do like 10 or 15 in one go if you're a beginner, okay? And then to apply that, like what's the proper form and what should be your body's position, head's position, back's position. That's how you can combine like knowledge and practicality to get best results. And doing each without the knowledge of the other could be very dangerous. So yeah, if you have money, you can enroll in some online courses. You can find a mentor that can bring you up to speed to those skills. But eventually it doesn't have to be as expensive as the business school.
Yeah, I hope I don't need to go to business school to start a business because I haven't been yet and I don't really want to go to school anymore. So anyways, okay.
Before we close this show, Rika, Jay, if you both had 10 seconds to come up with a business idea, what would that be? Go.
Oh, 10 seconds are not over yet. So basically, I'm very hungry. So if somebody would knock on the door with a bag of crisps, that would be a smart business idea for that person because I would definitely buy some of those.
And what if he only accepts cash?
I think I have some cash in my bag.
I don't know if they already have it, but I always feel like, when you get off your flight and then you need to go to this like the belt to like collect your suitcases, well, like I find it super annoying that like almost always I will have to wait for my bag to come through. I'm not sure if there's a smarter way to kind of get my suitcases back.
Yes, you can pay for business class.
Or first class. There's a way to cut down on that. Yeah.
Without even coming up with something new.
So if I have to come up with an idea within 10 seconds, I would say I would develop an app for writers that gives them creative writing prompts. So for example, a prompt could be like, write about a device in future that you don't know how to use. Or it could be something like you are on a flight from LA to Houston, and you find a note in the compartment of your seat, and it says about a crime that was committed 5 years ago. What do you do with it? Do you turn it on? Do you give it to the police? Do you go self-investigating? Do you discuss it with your friend? So I think, like, having that kind of prompts opens up a lot of imagination for a lot of people. And I feel if I can develop an app that sends these kind of prompts to people on a regular basis, I think we can help a lot of writers.
Good. That sounds like a cool business idea. I definitely think you won that round.
Okay, so on that note, I would like to say thank you to everyone who heard this episode. I hope you guys had fun, and if you have any suggestions for what other topics we should cover on this podcast, then please send us your recommendations. Our social media links will be mentioned in the description, so feel free to follow us. That's all for this week. We'll see you next time. My name is Aalok.
Jay.
Rika.